Welcome to the Swamp. It's 2026 and it's the year of the pirate. Pirate games are making a comeback, from Salt 2, ready to release into the 1.0, and Windrose, soon to be into early access. Both are great contenders for the pirate game of the year. Now recently, we checked out the Windrose demo. It's now time to check out Salt 2 and see how it is. Let's get into it. My name is Excalligator, and I review games using a category-based system built for survival, open world, and RPG titles. Each category is rated on a scale from 1 to 5, and if something doesn't apply to a specific game, it will not affect the overall score. Now let's get started. So I played more than 50 hours of Salt 2 with 2 different playthroughs. Originally, a couple of years ago, I played Salt 1, and even though it had a lot of potential, it wasn't executed well. I jumped into Salt 2 right afterward, but I got distracted by other games that launched and made other reviews instead. It was actually a good thing I waited, because since I last played, they added a story mode, new guilds to join, and a lot more types of islands. So when I came back, I decided to make a brand new game and have a fresh experience and put more hours into it. Salt 2 Shores of Gold is an open-world pirate adventure that blends exploration, crafting, survival, and RPG elements into a sailing sandbox experience. You begin stranded and must gather resources, build and customize your ship, and sail across a vast procedurally generated ocean. Along the way, you'll discover islands filled with caves, ruins, pirate camps, questing, hidden secrets, and while hunting, fishing, and fighting enemies, you can level up your character with unique skills and gear. The character creation is basic, with options that are expected to be in a system like this, but at the very least it has options, unlike Salt 1, which really only had a couple of skin color changes, and that's it. You look more like Play-Doh than a man in that game, but here at least you look like a human. You can have beard and hairstyles, and with that I'm gonna rate this a basic 3 out of 5 for having the bare minimum. So the game starts out, you are given a kind of cutscene with the guy talking to you in riddles, then you wake up and are in the game. The quest tracker tells you to read the journal on the table. This tells you that the game will have a lot of tips and tricks, as well as quest progression that are all hidden in books or scrolls. You start off with a basic sword, a compass, and sextant, then you are told to reach a cave where you find a bear. After that, you are led to making your first boat and traveling to the first town. Now, of course, you don't have to do any of that. This is really an open world game. You can go whichever direction you want with limitless map generation, though we'll get into that later on. For now, I thought that the start was fine. It was not too flashy, teaching wasn't really the best, but it was enough to get you going and on your quest. But it wasn't hand-holdy either, so I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5. It could be a bit better with the execution, but also giving agency to the player. Exploration is going to be one of the main features of this game. You will have access to many types of boats, once you unlock them that is, by building them based on their tier level. You can also get basic ones from vendors, but also find recipes for others that you can craft in the world. You navigate with your compass for direction and the sextant to determine the location and mark islands on your map. The map is seeded, though the default will be the same for everyone, roughly up to a 20 by 20 grid square. After that, it will be randomly generated. The grids can basically go on forever. The world itself both has difficulty based on distance from the center of the map and also your main level. The higher level you are, the world will scale with you every 10 levels. Better quality resources are much easier to find farther out you go, but they also scale with your level. There are different types of islands, from redwood to desert to pirate forts to village islands, some with sea caves and much more. Some island types will have unique creatures and resources. You can also find vast amount of dungeons to go through with levels, puzzles, and enemies to defeat and loot. The dungeons themselves, you could find a wider range of dungeons to explore, but I did notice at some point where I would come across duplicates. I'm not talking about dungeon type, I mean the exact same layout copy-pasted. Now, with a game that is randomly generated with nearly infinite islands and it pulls from a pool of pre-made dungeons, you would expect to find that eventually, but I came across a few duplicate dungeons before even reaching 15 squares out, within the same eastern half of the map, so that is something to know. Luckily, you can find lighthouses on your travel that you can use as fast travel. Just make sure you unlock it, as it won't do it automatically. A lot of islands will have special resources and enemies that can be found only at night, giving a reason to not sleep through it. I did notice a lack of variety when it came to enemies and animals. Meanwhile, sea creatures are not really creatures that can be interacted with. I learned this the scary way, as I nearly had 2 different heart attacks while swimming underwater where I came across sharks, only to later find out that they don't really attack you. They're there purely for flavor. I could keep going on about the exploration of this game, but I'm just going to go ahead and give it a 5 out of 5 for the amount of content and various types of islands and puzzles you can encounter. This section will be quick. The survival is really non-existent. You do need to eat, but it drains so slow you almost never really have to worry about it. As long as you hunt animals semi-regularly when you see them or fish while you are sailing, you will always have an abundance of food, and that's pretty much all that there is for survival. Now, if this was just an adventure game, I wouldn't be too harsh, but considering this game does advertise as being a survival game, I'm gonna have to give it a weaker score of 2 out of 5. This will be another short section because it is very simple, yet that doesn't mean it's bad. Firstly, you don't build like you would in other survival games. You can construct ships and decorate them as you see fit with crafting stations and various paintings, tables, and other types of decor. Then you have the crafting. You can essentially carry everything on you at all times. Nearly every item in the game has little to no weight, and you have no item limit. The only time you will get encumbered is if you gather a bunch of armor and weapons. Those will have enough weight that you can't really hold them, maybe a couple before it encumbers you. You can find or buy recipes in the world from vendors, and every crafting and gathering skill has levels that you can obtain and will unlock higher quality of things to do later on. I'm gonna give the crafting a 4 out of 5. It's all simple and clean to use. Leveling might be a bit annoying at first, but once you get going, it's not bad. The PvE is odd. I played on a regular setting server, and I found myself one-shotting enemies with the pistol, especially when I was stealth. I would just snipe them from afar. Now, really, you'll notice that different enemies will take more damage from different weapon types, like skeletons take more damage from crush damage, bows work better on animals, and so on. You can dodge, block, and have potions to heal. There are both mini-bosses and larger bosses that are hidden in the world. I really didn't die once on this playthrough, which shows the level of difficulty for this game. Now, I do think I remember dying on my previous playthrough, which it'll just spawn you back at your ship without much consequence, unless it's changed since the first playthrough, but I don't know for sure. I'm just gonna give the combat a 3 out of 5. It works, but for the default normal setting, I found the game a bit too easy, so I do recommend upping the difficulty if you want a bit more of a challenge. The story was added in after my first playthrough. Now, I will say I didn't get a chance to finish the story, but in terms of the delivery, it is given to you through a main quest that sends you pretty much all over the map. You will have to gather certain items, kill certain creatures, and do dungeons that have a range of puzzles, so it's pretty standard stuff, but it does feel a bit more forefront than the side quests are. Which, by the way, you don't really need to do the main story at all. You can just skip it and do all the side content, similar to any Elder Scroll game. When it comes to the guilds, upon completing a quest, you will have to return to them, though they will generally have a fast travel to go back quickly. When it comes to bulletin board quests, which are other types of side quests, you can actually mail in the items, so you don't need to find the person who gave you the quest. I'm going to give this section a 5 out of 5 for the decent delivery method of the main story, as well as the side quests that you can do. For the activity of this game, it's been in early access for a couple of years, but it seemed fairly active and updated regularly, from adding various guilds to the underwater diving, and now finishing up the game with the story mode and some last minute updates to the game before the final 1.0 launch, which is due anytime now. I don't think we have an exact date as of this video, but it's set to come out in the next, I guess, month or so. It's coming out soon, I think. Anyway, I'm not sure if they plan to keep updating after the launch, but for the fact that the developers were active in updating the game during its early access, I don't mind giving it a 5 out of 5. I had almost no bugs or lag while playing this game. Any spikes and frame drops I had were very minor. I didn't have any game halting issues or crashes while playing. It is easy on your system with a more simplified graphics style, so for this I'm also going to give it a 5 out of 5 for working very well. I didn't have any issues with my boat getting stuck either this time around. My overall score for Salt 2 is going to be a 4 out of 5. It's definitely a step up from the first game. While it doesn't seem to have many hidden secrets or unlockables, the systems that they did add are way more fleshed out and complement the rest of the game. It's also a plus that you can go into buildings now, and pirate forts are not just little huts or big squares, though I did miss hunting tigers while being attacked by poachers. Either way, it is a solid choice for a pirate-style adventure game. While it doesn't have naval combat like other entries this year, the action-adventure is enough to make it stand out as one of the better games you can find releasing this year. And that is the end of this video. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to subscribe. I'll be diving into more in-depth reviews of open-world sandbox RPG games, including ones no one ever talk about, buried deep in the darkest corners of Steam. Some of them even look like the muck at the bottom of my pond. For pure gameplay content, check out my second channel, Excalligator Gaming, where I post full narrated playthroughs, funny shorts, and streams. Do you have a game that you think I should cover next? Drop it in the comments below. Florida Gatorman out.